double onto Mason and straight. That's going to be...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another Splitgate event. This time and today we have the challengers, and that of course is some of the amateur teams battling, trying to make their way into the pro series. So a lot of exciting matches, and a lot of exciting matches already transpired because this is that tournament bracket format. But before we get into all of that nitty gritty, I have to check in with Blue. Blue, how you doing, man?
Hanging in there, ready to see which teams are going to be potentially getting ready to move themselves up to relegation in a few days' time. It's an exciting day here.
Yeah, it should be exciting, and just for context, like even last season, we saw a team make it through challengers and into that pro series and then get picked up by one of those orgs. So a lot of those teams fighting for that here today. But before we get into those matches, of course, we need to ask, do you have Amazon Prime? Well, then you have access to Prime Gaming, and Prime Gaming has a series of unique benefits that Prime members can take advantage of, and these are, I mean, benefits you don't want to miss out on. It includes things like free games every single month. I know during Prime Day they were giving away the Mass Effect
Ooh,
remastered.
nice.
So I claimed that. I don't know if it's still available. I have to check, but if it is, you guys should jump on that one. And those games are yours to download and enjoy. You can also get a slew of snazzy in-game items for your favorite titles like Splitgate and more. And you can also get things like skins for weapons, characters, consumables, other things to really help you elevate your game. And of course, there's more. With Prime Gaming, you also get access to that free Prime sub to use on Twitch every single month to help support your favorite content creators. So if you guys, again, have Amazon Prime, you guys have Prime Gaming. So really, what are you waiting for? Sign up, connect your accounts, and start claiming today. Check out all of those offerings. You can check those out at www.gaming.amazon.com. So now that that's out of the way, it's time to get into kind of what things are going on here today within the Splitgate Challengers. So taking a look here at this graphic, here is your format, right? So we've got 6 qualified teams. It's going to be a double elimination bracket seeded by open qualifiers. The top 2 teams are going to qualify for that relegation to go up against the bottom 2 teams of the Splitgate Pro Series, and then relegation winners qualify for that SPS fall season. So if you make it through relegation, if you essentially win relegation, you're going to be an SPS Pro. And then, of course, the prizing here, there's always that nice money on the line. First place going to be taking home $2,000. Second place, $1,200. Third, $800. Fourth, $500. And fifth and sixth, $250. So nice little incentives there in addition to just potentially qualifying for the SPS. Also that prize money on the line. So here's some of the teams that have been playing already, things you can kind of, that have happened in the background and what's going to be coming up here on stream today. So a lot of action. You'll notice, some familiar names as we get into these matches, but just keeping it pretty high level here. Match number 3 is going to be, that 3-0. Welsh Mania been on a little bit of a tear in that top side, and then yours truly also. A lot of 3-0s versus 0-3s, so some pretty dominant looking teams here. But that first match we're going to be jumping into on that top side of the bracket is going to be yours truly going up against Welsh Mania. And then, of course, you can see on that bottom side, some of the teams you should look out for is Immortal and Shoulda Retired. So we'll have to keep an eye on those teams and kind of see how, things shake out. But, yeah, so our first matchup, not as many stats, not as many things to delve into. It's kind of a raw skill type day. It's who's going to be showing up and just playing their hearts out. But here is your map rotation for this first match that we are about to get into. As you can see, we're going to have King of the Hill on Oasis, a TDM on Crag, Domination on Atlantis, and then if we need the map 4 or map 5, we'll go to King of the Hill on Lavawell, and then TDM on Foregone. So nice little map rotation here, kind of similar to the, SPS preference, I'd say, which is a little bit interesting. Not a big difference between kind of those different types of brackets of players, I guess you would say. So I'm going to be interested to see how the King of the Hill is on Oasis. At least that one is a little bit different. We typically don't see King of the Hill played on Oasis in that Pro Series.
We were able to see it snuck in a few times during the earlier weeks of the SPS. Overall, I wouldn't expect the kind of play state to be different from what we get in the SPS games. Obviously, the players will be very different, and I'm curious to see how this comes out. Didn't get to sync too well with some of the matches I was watching online. We had a few of our pro players doing watch parties and stuff earlier, so it was cool to check out some of those games. I'll have to see if I recognize some of the teams from that now, as it looks like we're going live with our first map now.
Yeah, excited to get into this one as these things count down. But yeah, shout out to all of those Splitgate community members kind of streaming some of those earlier matches, allowing us to tune in. But now we're here with the big time, the big leagues, and Solar. Starting off with Momo, actually. You saw him kind of subbing in for Xset and Maddie earlier. Gets off to a nice little start, 2 kills before he's taken down. But for the time being, it is yours truly with a minuscule point lead in that hill.
I was able to catch a little bit of a red squad here, and YT being able to put in some good results on one of those watch parties, so definitely going to have good hopes for this squad and being able to continue to perform throughout this, as they're already doing right now, setting themselves up 6-2, but Solar, out of absolutely nowhere, rolls in with a portal and knocks out pretty much the entirety of the red roster.
Yeah, Solar going on an absolute tear. I think he has the rockets and snipers, so shout-outs to T2 for that one. 7 kills, just 1 death to his name, as he's trying to pin down the red team in this spot. Picks up another one and
Nice.
turns for the double kill.
Chain those together really well. Some good control being shown up here by Welshmania. Definitely going to be able to put their foot down, and nicely done as well from Solar here. The snapshots coming in from some of these players are truly impressive to see right now. He's able to take that player down just before the portal is shut behind it as well. Heisman will finally be able to take care of Solar, though, ends his reign of terror for the time being, and also obviously a new hill in play does give a new opportunity to yours truly to get themselves back onto the point share as well, and they're certainly doing that. Now only 10 points behind, but Agony can look to try and change that. Doesn't work too well for him, but Solar thankfully is able to make those results happen as he knocks out the rest of the remnants and locks in the kaleidoscope for himself as well.
Yeah, Solar just a different beast here, and there's the killing spree, the double kill right off the rip as the red team is constantly in that spawn trap, that spawn cycle. So a really, really solid start. What was kind of, you know, a brief yours truly lead with that minuscule amount of hill time. Welshmania able to utilize these power weapons to just take total control of the map.
Welshmania doing some good stuff here to be able to set themselves ahead at the beginning of the matchup, but away from that, things have gone pretty quiet for a second. Solar just having a little bit of an awkward engagement here, but still able to get himself the win versus Bizarre, as we're going to continue to see WM Welshmania rack up the points on this hill here. Newly spawned one as well from only about 10 seconds ago, but not a lot of a challenge coming in from yours truly at this point. Heisman and a few of the others going to try to leverage it from the tower, but Momo already working on trading those players out, and I believe he's succeeded quite well, leaving only Bizarre in the fight now. Blitz will be able to sneak in on the back end, steal a couple seconds of hill control away, but still looks like WM has got this managed, and they'll be able to trade those players out without too much of a delay.
Yeah, I think that's what's really giving Welshmania this huge advantage right now, and you see it just with the multi-kills. They're trading like 3 for 1 on every single push out of yours truly, and that's just allowing them to maintain this map control, this dominance, and the hill presence. And unless yours truly can kind of really keep up with the pressure or pin down some of these targets, these key players like Solar and Sif, and take them out, it's going to be like running into a brick wall from here on out unless they can change things up.
Yeah, Momo and Solar specifically have been fantastic at shutting down these plays that have been coming out from yours truly. A little bit of a turn of the tides here, though, for yours truly, so you're able to get some more considerable time onto the hill, but certainly going to need to make up for it here as another nice little fadeaway rocket shot comes in from Momo to knock out one of the members of yours truly here. Gonna follow up onto that one. With 2 more rockets still in the pocket, unfortunately, not going to be a lot of room, unfortunately, here for yours truly to get themselves back on the correct footing.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's huge power weapon control. Welshmania just totally dominating. I mean, I feel bad yours truly not really able to make a successful push here on this hill, despite throwing all of these bodies. It is Solar, Sif, Momo, and Agony just running up the kills and holding down that hill. So really, really great start for Welshmania here.
Deservedly in charge. You can see a few of their players getting run into a corner, though, so this might be a bit of a bad run for them over the next 20 seconds or so while they try to reestablish positioning. Solar again gets that one trade before he's also knocked out by Heisman here, and that is going to lead to members of yours truly being able to negotiate positioning around this hill, set themselves up for a few extra seconds, and more importantly, be in the correct position for the node transition, which has already come up as of about 10 seconds ago, so that's been set up now. You have Chasen rolling around trying to catch a few of these stragglers from Welshmania as they try to get themselves back over towards the hill, but unfortunately, Welshmania finally running into some problems in that department, so as a result of that, we're seeing yours truly get considerable point gains on the scoreboard.
Yeah, a nice recognition from yours truly, just kind of capitalizing on that disorganized setup from Welshmania, allows them to at least shore up that difference in point totals just a little bit, but Welshmania responds with the hill capture for themselves, and now it's all on yours truly to try to get some of that momentum back in their favor.
Bit of an awkward one from Momo there as he thought he had a portal sitting behind him, but no, it was his opponents instead, as this other one had been dealt with here. Going to try to get the engagement going to get his opponents off the hill, and he'll succeed in that. So Welshmania still maintains their lead by a factor of nearly 2 here as well, especially if they're going to be able to get the next transition, which is looking like they'll get at least the first seconds. Continuously holding on this hill, though, going to be quite difficult for obvious reasons. It's right in the middle of the map. Momo is quite happy with that kill that he's picked up now, so he's going to retreat and continue to rack up the points here for WM as they're a little over 100 away now from victory.
Yeah, I think yours truly just needs to start playing their lives a little bit better. Take this approach a little bit more slowly and try to look for these flanks that Welshmania has just really executed on repeatedly here. We see them just 4 down now yet again as a great push from Momo breaks this setup almost instantaneously, and WM just going to be able to rack things up here for the time being.
Solar going to leap himself down trying to reinsert himself into the next engagement, but instead it'll be Bizarre jumping out from a new portal that'll surprise him to take him down. Kills are continuing to rotate off across the map, and that's another triple kill coming in, this time from Sif on the side of Welshmania. Welshmania, regardless though, continuing to just get these near or full team wipes so many times throughout this map. It's making it hard for yours truly to really get themselves back into the fray when they're so constantly being reset, as it pretty sure is about to happen here again. Everybody except Bizarre has been taken out, so that's going to be free control coming in here for WM.
Yeah, WM just looking so strong, and I think this is like one of those things or one of those notes that kind of separates or is that skill gap within Splitgate. Is we talked about it earlier in the season of the Pro Series where, you know, it's not just individual skill anymore at that pro level, it's all on teamwork, but here we're seeing what happens when it is kind of that individual skill gap as just Sif, Solar, and Momo. Well, Sif and Solar specifically dropping 40 bombs already here, and WM still needs 80 to close it out, so wouldn't be surprised if they hit that 50 bomb marker here today. But yeah, yours truly just really struggling to kind of get this momentum, play their life, as it's 3 down and 4 down yet again as Welshmania continues to just dominate these hill setups.
Actually a pretty good reinsertion from yours truly to hold that hill for most of the time it was alive here after they were able to bleed out the remaining WM players. It was surprising they got to that in the first point though, because it had come down to a 2v1, and it seemed as though that WM should have had an issue getting their second player in to support that hold, but didn't end up working out, so they actually lost a lot of time on that hill. Solar and the rest of the team now trying to quickly get that back on our new hill though at the 3-minute marker here, and they're coming close to doing that, but never mind, it's going to be yours truly once again taking a few seconds for themselves. A little bit in limbo right now, so hard to tell who's got the most consistent amount of it, but looks like it has fallen back over to Welshmania after everything is settled down for a bit. We've got reinforcements coming in from the players on yours truly, however, so that is not guaranteed by any method at this point.
Yeah, Agony with a nice little positioning there with that sniper, reads the portal play, gets the melee to secure that kill, and it's 3 down yet again for yours truly. With Agony just kind of playing this perimeter, the killing spree coming out of him, he's stepping it up now, matching the pace that his team was playing at, and eventually is going to get taken down there, but I think the damage is done. Welshmania just in a really good spot here in map number 1.
Yep, just about 30 seconds needed here for Welshmania, and they will lock in map number 1 for themselves. Unfortunately for them, yours truly does have control over the hill at the moment, so we'll need to bleed that out, but I believe they've already done that. That's kind of been the late game strategy here for Welshmania. It hasn't necessarily been a rush to 250 points, trying to close this out as quickly as possible, but more so to stalemate yours truly, prevent them from really springboarding into any type of comeback and making it that much easier for these guys to close out. Very real chance this ends up coming down to a timer at the end of the day, as we only have a hill and a half remaining.
Yeah, and I think for Welshmania, like, they can just kind of contest this hill. They don't have to worry about getting set up and then getting taken down and allowing yours truly to kind of work their way back into this one. So they'll just let the hill kind of run its course and focus on keeping yours truly out of the hill rather than setting themselves up to be in it.
It does mean that obviously they're going to have to make sure they fully wipe out yours truly when we hit the 0 timer to prevent an overtime comeback. But even if we end up hitting that conditional, I don't think Welshmania is going to be too worried about that situation, as they haven't had an issue clearing out the team from the hill, which would, in this case, end the overtime. They more so had a problem of keeping it after that fact due to the respawns being so aggressive and coming back to the hills area. But WM already shutting it down here and already onto the last hill as well. Just about 20 seconds to go, and they'll have full control over this one here if we even need to get to that point. So we'll see if that'll end up being the case. A few trades coming out around the map, and it does lead to a change of hands yet again as yours truly takes the hill, but they are still a little under 100 seconds behind, meaning they would need to get not only the 30 seconds remaining here at regulation, but a little over a minute after that of hill time as well. Just not realistically probably going to happen here. So more than likely, Welshmania is going to take control of the first map of the day.
Yeah, with double 60 bombs there out of Solar and Sif. They are absolutely on fire here in the tournament. And yeah, that's even more impressive considering the tournament format, right? Like, they've been playing matches and kind of duking things out and looking really solid as they close out map number 1. It's going to be Welshmania with a dominant map 1 performance.
Definitely some good stuff showing up from Welshmania. And again, from yours truly, I don't think it was the worst showing in the world. Definitely showing some capability to actually frag their opponents and get them off the hill. The problem was keeping it consistent past that point. Could never really get more than like a 5 to 10 second chain going for themselves. Yeah. And as a result of that, Welshmania played it pretty casually, just looking to, in the mid to late game at least, force them off of the hill, not necessarily trying to play for it themselves, especially on Oasis too, given how open of a map it is and how easily, as we saw over the course of that map, teams can get wiped off if they don't have good positioning to play from.
Yeah, it really felt like it was more of a Welshmania capitalizing on that snowball and just keeping that snowball going. We saw, you know, them just keeping them on the respawn constantly being 2, 3, sometimes 4 down for yours truly, and really just Welshmania never let their foot up off the gas. So it was more Welshmania just really playing it perfectly in that snowball sense versus yours truly doing anything specifically incorrect. But going into the TDM, it's hard to kind of imagine being in yours truly's shoes with the 60 bombs, 2 of them that were dropped by Welshmania. But historically, in Splitgate, that TDM can be a little bit of an equalizer without that objective to worry about. So maybe this is where yours truly can kind of work their way back into this series.
Fortunately, not the greatest start, as a 3-for-1 exchange is how the initial battle is going to go, as both teams attempt to try and fight for power weapon control. More than likely going to see Welshmania be able to take both of those as a result of winning the large majority of those initial fights, too. Not even going to be needing the shotgun, but it does get used by Momo down below. The rails, however, are the real power weapon to pay attention to for this upper side of the map. The shotgun leads to better control on the lower levels. As we continue to see Agony play this out, though, just waiting for an opportunity to pop out. Unfortunately, yours truly really not giving it to him, and they are playing it correctly by doing so. They have to try and take this so cautiously because they've lost most power weapons, but they still need to try and get themselves onto the board at some point here. The problem is, where they're attempting to do so far has been walking directly into the setups that have been made by Welshmania. Thankfully, though, we are going to see the rails get dropped, so here's a moment for yours truly to get themselves back into the game, and they're going to use it as Heisman gets himself a double.
Yeah, nice little setup break there from yours truly. Went 3 down for Welshmania, and now it's just kind of on them to start to mount this comeback, get in those positions and try to contest some of these power weapons and power positions throughout the map. But I really like the discipline displayed by Agony early on there. We saw him, you know, with that railgun, and it was yours truly playing it super safe, not really pushing out, but he didn't overextend, kind of held that high ground, recognized the power position. So really well played out of him. And here you can see just that killer instinct coming out from Welshmania yet again. Momo with 9 kills already, Sif again with 6, but Jason trying to make a little play here, put some damage down range and let his teammates clean it up. So far so good in that regard, as now yours truly able to shore up what was, I believe, like 11-1 down to 17-6. So cutting that difference down and kind of keeping Welshmania back there, but some great shots from Solar eventually going to take Jason down on that play.
Gonna see a few more kills get racked up here by Welshmania. Has led itself into much more of an even exchange, and the advantage has diminished slightly, but still, huge lead for Welshmania, and not showing any signs of slowing down anytime soon. That's gonna be the big issue here for yours truly as well. Yes, the overall advantage is being worked on. We're still pushing closer and closer to that 60-point margin. Welshmania is gonna be able to shut this one down. And they're gonna try to, once again, widen this a bit, currently working with a +10 advantage over their opponents here, and able to restrict it at that as Sif gets another kill going against Blitz, looking for the respawns to come out, but they're a little elusive right now, and that's kind of the way I would describe YT's playstyle overall. Just trying to hide in the corners, wait for an opportunity to pounce onto Welshmania. And that's more going to get them the kills that they've got, but they need to push it beyond that.
Yeah, they need to kind of play that patient game and then recognize when they need to convert into a more aggressive style when that opportunity arises. I think this playstyle's at least kept them in this one, only being down 8 kills, and with these power weapons coming up around that 7-minute mark, yours truly definitely could make a push here, make a play. You see him on that high ground, on that bridge, so a nice little setup there. They just have to be able to hold that until those power weapons respawn, and then they might be able to mount some of this comeback. So I like the adjustment. I like being able to shake off game number 1, so they're looking a lot more solid here in map number 2 against Welshmania.
Momo able to pick up the next frag here after actually a considerable amount of delay between kills. The scoreboard had kind of frozen for a moment there, which is pretty surprising to see sometimes in Splitgate, but now it's going to come alive again, and more than likely with a fairly aggressive yours truly. Was able to pick up the railgun to control for themselves. Problem is they don't have the shotgun just yet, so Momo was able to restrict most of the pressure down below here. Blitz, though, getting 3 back-to-back on the rail. I'm curious if that was a 3-person collateral, because that would be absolutely huge if that's what ended up just transpiring there, but we'll have to come back and see that a little later here as Blitz locks in one more against Momo.
Yeah, Blitz maintaining control of that railgun is at least keeping kind of Welshmania cautious on these pushes, not letting them run fully around the map as Blitz now secures that kill onto Solar. So nice play out of him, and he's going to get a shotgun for that nice play. 17 kills, 7 deaths, so Blitz really stepping it up and keeping this one at least within reach for yours truly to make this comeback. The problem is Welshmania just keeps on marching forward. They're not really shaken up too much by that. There's Momo with a nice little play, nice little push. Going to secure that double, but misses out on the triple as Heisman gives him that melee kill to take him down. But Welshmania now just marching towards 50. And yours truly, a better showing, kind of kept up a little bit more, but I mean, it is just that big-time slaying power. You see Momo dropping 22 kills, now 23 so far. Sif on a killing spree, and it's all these big exchanges. Able to chase that one down. Bazaar now taken out, and Welshmania doing a good job of bouncing back from that little push that yours truly just had.
Fortunate for Sif there. Does all that maneuvering to try and pick up a kill and ends up walking directly into a plasma rifle, so he's going to end up going down there. Welshmania is still in control of things, though, and have actually pushed the advantage just a teeny bit further than it had been previously, working with plus 13 right around at the moment over what yours truly has been able to negotiate. Yours truly, even with that power up and control, Frank said it brought a little bit closer, but not really able to bring it within an arm's reach just yet. Going to try and wait out for the next power up and spawn, which realistically should be coming up in the next few seconds here. Maybe that will potentially change up their fate, as they do also have map control near those weapons at the moment as well, so a good capability to even pick them up if they're going to be able to get to that point.
Yeah, it's still within reach for yours truly. I think I really like their last play, kind of just making sure they secured that rail. I think if they can pick up the rail and that shotgun was the big disruptor that Welshmania was able to secure, and they didn't have to worry too much about Blitz being on that high ground. They kind of just kept the low ground and pushed around the map to take out the other players. So if yours truly can maybe secure these power weapons on this next rotation and play this one perfect, it might be a good sign for them, but for the time being, Welshmania only needing 7, it's a pretty big ask for yours truly.
5 kills remain for Welshmania here to be able to lock in a 2-0 advantage over their opponents. Nice little trade there between those two players, but only serves to help Welshmania at this point in the game. Everybody from yours truly has to call themselves back, trying to play this hyper passively. I say that, but they did just go for railgun control as they head right up towards the middle to look for that. You're going to see Solar trying to chase a few of these players down, unsuccessfully so far, but there's the follow-through as he's able to knock out Heisman. With another shotgun kill also being picked up, things are looking better and better here for Welshmania. 1 kill is all they need. Trying to negotiate it now, and Sif will eventually get it, as it's a 2-0 lead for the Welsh roster here as they push ahead.
Yeah, and they're just kind of like foot on the gas. That's kind of what we
Pretty
saw
much.
looking at that bracket. It was just a lot of 3-0s and 3-1s. So a lot of just, I guess, high-octane games. Just kind of the team that gets that early lead has been able to run away with it, I suppose, throughout the Splitgate Challengers bracket here today. So taking a look at some of these stats, and yeah, Blitz putting up one hell of a fight there for his team, really making it, you know, letting them kind of work into it. I think if his team was able to work around kind of his lead a little bit better, the scoreline would have been much closer. But I mean, when all 4 players of Welshmania are popping off like that, it's, I mean, obviously difficult to mount that comeback.
Yeah, definitely the case. So we're going to have to see now if they can try to spread things out a little bit more, considering that we are at least going to have the domination. Sometimes that saves our teams as well, just being able to kind of split the strategy up of their opponents where they previously dominated on those 2 maps. Sometimes they get a little overwhelmed on that 3rd objective, but we'll have to wait and see if that's going to be the case, because I will be real with you. Things are looking quite promising for Welshmania to just run this over in a 3-0 yours truly. Definitely that capability to fight, but the strategy side of things needing a little work right now based on what we've seen of the 2 maps.
Yeah, it just looks like once Welshmania kind of gets in their groove and kind of starts flowing around the map and gets into their routing, yours truly is really struggling just to stop that and kind of disrupt some of that movement. And that's just allowing Welshmania to play super comfortable. Like, no one really looks stressed. They're kind of pushing into areas of the map, kind of not worried. They're just checking corners and being able to win those fights. So if yours truly can kind of maybe segment this map a little bit, I think Atlantis does lend itself to that, kind of those long sight paths, and then you can kind of work some of those flanks. They might have an opportunity here. I'm just worried that Welshmania has so much momentum built up after these first 2 maps. It's really going to be tough for yours truly to fire back here in map number 3.
Railgun pickup is going to go to Momo to start things out. Not able to land the shot initially, but the follow-through as he does a quick 180 works out well for him to be able to pick it up. Nicely done on the 2nd shot, and he goes right to middle to find the bat as well. Waiting for the rotates to come in from. He's going to get pinched from both sides here, but is at least able to get a trade going for himself before he drops the rails, and I think they only have 1 shot left, so should not be the end of the world to potentially allow that free kill to go off, and there we go. It was just whiffed anyways. They're not going to be too concerned about it.
Big thing, though, is that bat was full charge, so we'll have to see if anyone's able to utilize that. But for the time being, Welshmania able to fire back off of dropping that rail and really take forward down to yours truly. And that allows them to just hold this 2-hill setup and kind of aggress onto that yours truly hill that they do have locked down, looking for that triple cap. I like the pressure Welshmania, though, in the meantime, does manage to lose out on the B hill, so it's going to be an opportunity for yours truly to make something happen. But just as I say that, Agony in the background gets that triple kill. 3 down for yours truly is going to allow Welshmania to re-secure those 2 sites.
Full team shot with another one of his teammates working up top there, just trying to fend off any quick rotates we might be seeing to make a play on the B point. Still, though, progress being made by yours truly. They are able to work themselves into the area surrounding the hill, and with that kill going out against Solar, should be able to negotiate a decap. Problem is, it's going to be at the cost of the home point. So yeah, ANC have now been captured by the players on Welshmania, and even worse, they have a potential pinch against the B hold, which was the entirety of the effort from yours truly over the last minute or so. You're just going to have Agony walking right in. He's lost 3 of his other teammates, but there's no restriction on this B cap at the moment, so he's going to be able to walk right in, take it for himself. We'll see the players on yours truly prioritize the C cap so they can at least get a little bit of a home base to work from, but all that effort to get B only for a few seconds, again, isn't going to make up a huge difference on the scoreboard here. This repush going into it, though, could potentially change things, but Solar doing a fantastic job of at least trying to shut that down, and Momo will succeed in doing so now as he comes in to close the back flank.
Yeah, Momo going huge on that play. Maybe a slight misstep from yours truly. They did manage to re-secure that C, but I think if they had split off and at least contested B, they might be in a position to even hold a triple cap right now with the way they played, but kind of the way they just chose to navigate that situation allows Welshmania to bounce back, re-secure B and C, but the fight for B is going to go back into yours truly's favor, but they're still trailing by that 100 points, so maybe they look to push out, try to decap C, or just try to slowly march their way back into this one with the 2 hills that they do hold.
We'll try to get the better of Heisen there inside of that duel, but not going to end up working out. The 80-80 is not good enough to be able to beat him, so Heisen still gets that final shot off. Consistent 2-cap now coming up on the board here, so it seems like the priority around C has led to some success now, leading in for yours truly, but still 100 points behind. They need to keep this consistent here, and Momo again on a flank, getting a triple kill for himself. They have to keep watch over this, can't allow for these types of plays to be made, as it's absolutely destroying the momentum gains that yours truly are getting for themselves.
Yeah, and you can kind of see that just in the way that Momo was looking through. And wait, we have Sif with a railgun here. Let's see, he picks up the double kill. But yeah, those Momo flanks so deadly because it almost throws yours truly for a loop. You might even see that in the way those player outlines are kind of traversing. There's slight hesitation of should we go try to contest what Momo is decapping, or should we continue with our push? And that's really allowing Welshmania to have all that momentum and kind of free reign around the map when yours truly is kind of on the back foot, playing 1 step behind.
Big push coming in now from yours truly, be able to try and steal away B again. Solar, though, looking to try and shut it back down. He's going to be one of the last remnants of this defense, unfortunately, and can't last forever. Moist is still, or rather Chasen, I should say, from Moist, is still going to be able to take him down. Running that tag here today, at least. Knocking him out. Ultimately, Welshmania still is able to maintain control for just a split second of the A and C caps, but without B, they're not going to necessarily have an easy way to get themselves back onto a point. Smooth rotation on the portals, however, coming in from Agony. He's able to quickly get himself back over to C and pretty much single-handedly steal that away with some support coming in on the top end. We are going to see a back cap go over towards A, and you haven't really seen Welshmania try to prioritize B. That's going to change now, but at the same time, all the players from A over on the yours truly side of things, they're also working on getting themselves back over and disrupting the caps that Welsh have been able to set up for themselves. Welsh seems to be holding on somewhat, though, so they might still be able to maintain this advantage.
Yeah, yours truly is doing a really good job of kind of maintaining or at least matching that pressure from Welshmania. It just hasn't really translated into closing the gap on this lead that Welshmania has worked up. So while the slaying is kind of matched now, it's kind of that objective control and that objective pathing that yours truly is looking to clean up here in map number 3. They've been able to do it at some points here, but Welshmania just has been consistently answering back again. Now 4 down for yours truly is going to give Welshmania a nice little setup here on the map.
Welshmania are going to be able to get a triple cap going for themselves here, so the odds just shrunken even more for the players on yours truly. Have been able to get that A cap going for themselves. They've been pretty good at jumping out and surprising the members of Welshmania with their capability to rotate over towards sites quickly enough. But the problem is going to be that it seems like we've gotten late enough into this game now where I believe Welshmania have started to read into that a little bit better, and they're starting to directly counter it out in some ways as well. Welshmania encroaching on the 500 point marker, meaning they've only got about 200 to go before locking in absolute victory for themselves. We are going to see again B gets stolen away, but they need to keep it for a long time here, and these flanks that are constantly showing up are getting in the way of that to a huge degree. Not even probably going to see a full cap, or maybe we will now with that kill happening. Maybe not even going to see a full cap come out here over on B, but it doesn't matter. All they want to do is disrupt the play here on Welsh Mania's side of things, because they want to stop any potential comeback coming in from yours truly. That has been the winning strategy all throughout this series for the most part, and they have no reason to divert from it.
Yeah, it seems like yours truly is doing a good job of capping these points, but they're kind of all four in that hill, in that site to cap them, and that allows for players like Momo, Agony, who we've seen on some really impactful flanks, just kind of break that entire setup and then recap that hill. So yours truly putting all this work in to get these hills, but then they're kind of sitting ducks. They don't rotate out fast enough, and that's giving Welsh Mania just enough opportunity for some of these retakes. But here, for the time being, yours truly has done a nice job of holding on to the BNC hill and potentially even snagging A for themselves.
Bat's going to spawn out in just a second here. Momo, you can tell he's going to be right on top of that, ready to take charge. So he'll indeed do that, ready to assault onto the C point afterwards as well here. But the problem is, again, those offsite rotations are pretty strong at the moment from yours truly, able to lock in and get a consistent 2-cap, as has been the case here for a few minutes now. And they've even been able to decap the third point, probably going to be capping it in a second here as well. So full triple cap coming in from yours truly. A comeback now certainly alive, as they are less than 100 points behind Welsh Mania, finally being able to lock out Welsh Mania's roster of some of these caps, and now trying to restrict them on their single cap. The table has finally flipped a little bit here, but are they going to be able to keep it that way?
Yeah, and this is where we kind of see where Welsh Mania is really made of here, if they can kind of answer back after yours truly has mounted this comeback, and it looks like yours truly doing a great job of just destabilizing Welsh Mania at this point in time. Momo going solo into this hill does manage to snag one, going to check that B site and push back onto Bazaar. So now it is 4 down for yours truly, and this is a pivotal moment where Welsh Mania needs to reestablish control of this map to secure the 3-0.
See Welsh Mania trying to prioritize in the decaps more than anything at this point. B does get retaken, but it's going to be stolen away just as quickly. Blitz does have most of the home point resecured though, so they've got their springboard. Now they need to move out from it. It's not the most promising start, unfortunately, for the players over on yours truly. A 2-1 loss of player count. We are going to see Solar go down though. He's been the big fragger here for Welsh Mania, but it doesn't seem to matter too much at this moment. Still able to get the kind of revenge 3-cap going, although Sif and Agony, one of those two, end up running themselves into a corner on that portal rotations. They'll get knocked out, so now here comes the re-swing from yours truly as they try to get back into it. We've got less than 100 points to go for both teams at this point, but it's currently yours truly in control with the double cap.
Yeah, nice plays out of yours truly here. Despite being 3 down, they're making good decisions on where to push around this map. They have the 2-cap, but that was short-lived as Welsh Mania answers back. I believe Momo did just drop that bat, and Chasen did manage to pick that up. So in these final moments of map number 3, we'll have to see if yours truly can make something happen, but it's another great push out of Welsh Mania that leads to yours truly being 3 down, and Welsh Mania taking control of 2 of these sites.
Just about 5 seconds left here, and Welsh Mania will be able to lock things in for themselves as they finally are able to get back that control. Got a little bit hairy for a moment, but Welsh Mania still are able to control it at the end of the day. They take the 3-0 victory, move themselves right along to the grand finals of this bracket, and send their opponents down to the elimination bracket.
Yeah, that was one of those unfortunate kind of series where we saw yours truly pick up the pace just too late. Kind of Welsh Mania came out too strong in those first 2 maps and just got themselves that cushion of a lead that they needed. And I think yours truly did a great job in that map number 3 of really answering back kind of mid-map, mid-series, but unfortunately just a little bit too little, too late.
The good news is, we have a second side of this bracket.
That's
so
correct.
There's a very good chance, I would say, based on the results of this matchup, that we see yours truly come back, potentially towards the grand finals, and maybe even get that revenge. Like I said, these games have been getting closer and closer throughout the series, not further and further apart, and realistically, yours truly could have easily taken that last map there had things gone just a little bit differently towards the end.
Yeah, well, here you see the map layout. We didn't get to see Lava Well or Foregone, but maybe we'll see it later on here today. But for the time being, it is a quick 3-0 from Welsh Mania. Definitely looking like a solid roster. Of course, we saw Momo subbing in for Maddie on Xset, so that should come as no surprise to some of the viewers that they were able to slay out like they did. But big things out of Sif and really the rest of their roster looking really solid. So it's going to be an exciting day to see how the rest of this bracket shakes out. But I think we're going to throw it to a brief commercial break, and then we'll be back with more of this series. rockets do go down. I'm not sure anyone has re-secured them as of late, but looking on board with Chenzo here, managed to clip someone through the portal. Beautiful plays with that snap, able to click that head. Really leading them to kind of accelerate their gameplay and really step up as we see a huge double kill from Jalen. The killing spree coming through as well. 6 kills, 0 deaths to his name, and that's letting his team work in the background, holding on to this hill. But now, as his teammates go down, he's going to be forced to enter in himself. Manages to find another double kill and the triple kill as 3 down for LG is going to give Jalen Mans carte blanche over this. Adjustments to cap hills that are essentially given to them, but the LG triple cap here might be the change to everything. But a nice quick decap of B is going to give T1 just the amount of points they need to kind of keep LG on their toes. A big killing spree though from Brad is going to come through. Can he pick up a double? Is going to be able to take this one. So LG continues to fight, continues to battle back. Been able to keep up in that slaying department, and that's kind of what's been plaguing Elevate all season, is that kind of overtake on their strategy. But for the time being, they do maintain control of this hill, but Charmander obviously has a different idea in mind as he retakes that hill with the SMG and triple kill. LG maintains a 1-kill lead at this point, as T1 though does a great job on these power weapon spawns, gets 3 down for LG, so that should give them the majority of the control of these power weapons, unless, I mean, something happens and the momentum melee from Jalen Mans gonna come through with a double kill, killing spree as T1 takes the lead. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with today's Splitgate Challengers matches. And of course, we just saw Welshmania with a pretty dominant performance over yours truly. So they will be waiting in that grand final spot for the results of this upcoming match. And then that is going to be between Immortal and yours truly. So yours truly, this is kind of one of those opportunities where we get to see, you know, different from the Splitgate Pro Series, where it's just kind of match day up until the grand finals, which are happening tomorrow. But, you know, how can teams bounce back from a loss? Can they fight through that loser's bracket? Looks like Immortal has done so. Kind of looking at their record, they managed to take down the Golfers 3-0, and then in that match number 7, the shoulda retired, well, they put them into the retirement home with their 3-1 victory. And now they're coming off, you know, against yours truly, who maybe, you know, it kind of goes either way, right? Sometimes that loss is a wake-up call, and that kind of ignites that spark under the team, or sometimes they look a little deflated. So we're going to have to see how this pans out with these maps that are upcoming. So your map rotation for this series is going to be a King of the Hill on Club Silo, a TDM on Olympus. We'll go to a Domination on Abyss, and then if we need the map 4 or map 5, it will be King of the Hill on Carmen, and then TDM on Pantheon.
It's going to be a fun affair to be sure. Impressive for Immortal being able to outlast the very team that knocked them down into the lower bracket to begin with there. To be fair, it was already a really close match, 2-3, but they've outlasted them. Have been able to push their way past some legends here as far as Splitgate is concerned. Now we're going to have to see if they can get the better of a new team once again. One that came very close to taking a map off of our current grand finalists multiple times. Let's see if they can get it done as we're going live now onto Club Silo.
Yeah, and this will be interesting to see. This feels like another one of those kind of map number one's King of the Hill that we saw in that previous series where it might end up being pretty snowbally. I think if you get a good setup and a good hold, you can really snowball these leads here on Club Silo. And for the time being, yours truly off to that 15-second lead. The sniper shot connects, but is going to be fired back on by Venopius to secure that kill and fires yet again to take down Heisman.
Good control being exercised here by Immortals. They try to get themselves back onto good footing overall in this matchup. Yours truly, though, still in control of things, but only for the next few seconds. This is on the middle hill as well, so an impressive regain to suddenly get that extra 15 seconds or so back for the Immortals after things had gone a little bit awry at the game's start. Yours truly, though, looking to steal that control back now that we're on a more palatable hill, but Venopius is going to get directly in the way of that, knocking out Bazaar with both the power-ups he currently has control over here to be able to restrict that control for the Immortals instead. He won't be able to last forever, though, given as he had to go onto the hill. That did leave him exposed. Heisman, though, only able to really get that one kill. The rest of the team is being denied outright. So this will be consistent control going up for the Immortals now.
Yeah, a nice response for them. We saw all 4 down for yours truly, so this is going to get them a nice little chunk of time in this hill with this setup. And then, of course, they were dropped off some power weapons. The shotgun here in this hill, but those 2 shots from blockers not going to be able to connect, so it's going to be yours truly answering back with a 4 down of their own to retake this hill setup.
To see that time tick down. Things looking good for both teams at the moment, but it's definitely yours truly that needs to rebound quite quickly, and I think they're doing exactly that. We're going to see Swishers, though, show up with a triple kill for himself, and Heisman with just a nice little no-scope there to take out Swishers. Venopius is there to make sure the exchange is made, however, so it's still going to be the Immortals remaining in control despite us seeing yours truly take the lead back. They're only about 5 seconds behind. Immortals, that is. And as long as they're in position for the new hill, should be able to easily steal that lead away and surge ahead for themselves.
Yep, this sniper going to be picked up from Swishers here, and he does have this high ground on to this site. Let's see if he can make any plays here. Manages to connect with the body, is going to be able to finish that one up, but not before being taken down himself. And now it's all 4 down yet again for yours truly. So while they have these really nice kind of bursts of nice pushes, sometimes it's just not panning out for them, and that's allowing Immortals to kind of keep the pace here on this hill time. And as they're battling across that mid-map, it's going to be 3 down now in turn for Immortals. So a successful push following up on a not-so-successful one for yours truly should give them at least some of this control of this hill for the remaining 15 seconds.
Immortals doing a fantastic job of getting the wipes out specifically against yours truly, forcing them to fully reset and send them back into a respawn zone as well. Yours truly, though, still ahead, and that's the problem, though, is Immortals have had to focus on wiping out the members of yours truly almost entirely throughout this match, but have not really been able to focus too heavily on the objective unless the fights have obviously been on the hill. So away from that, we're finally going to see Immortals be able to bang in some time and once again attempt to steal the lead away, which they've just been able to do. The shotgun from Heisman, he's trying to strategically insert it, but instead, Venopius gets the shot on him from behind, and he'll be knocked out here, instead handing it over to Reticle and allowing them to use it instead.
Yeah, you can really see a lot of these big swings in kind of point leads, or at least the leader hinges on that power weapon control. We saw it kind of on the previous hill where that shotgun was dropped in the hill, and then we saw it there with that hill break. But a nice double kill out of Heisman is going to allow yours truly to set up in this hill during the last 20 seconds. We'll see if Immortals makes a push or just opts to rotate for the next one. It looks like, well, since they have 3 down, they might as well try to pick up some of this scrap time and then rotate out as that time dwindles down. Staying on board with Reticle, Hill finds 2 members off the spawn, manages to take down 1, couldn't finish the second. But he still has a nice little position, does have that shotgun in the back pocket, so he's going to be a menace to this hill, but it is yours truly on a nice little counter flank, able to take down his push before things got too hairy.
neck-and-neck match either way, as we finally seen yours truly figure out how to fight toe-to-toe, at least a little bit better, with the players on the Immortals. Immortals, though, still ahead by about 10 seconds. Not a huge lead, though, as we're going to see at least one player from yours truly try to steal that away as they bank in a few seconds of their own. Full wipe against them, though, mainly through the exploits once more of Vinapis, who's going to try to go down the middle to grab the SMG. His teammate Reticle going to not only save him, but quickly snapshot himself into a second frag against Heisman as well here. Great support from Reticle. That's now given them the SMG. He's finally going to run his health pool out here, but a teammate should be able to pick up the weapons and continue to harass his opponents here, as yours truly is attempting to get themselves back onto this hill, but it's not going the best. They are going to be able to steal away a little bit of control, but now they're going to be down a few players for when the hill actually moves in about 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's a really nice job from yours truly, and you can just see how swingy these kind of team wipes are. And that's why you see this battle back and forth, this constant exchanging of hands of this point lead. But for the time being, Chasen and his buddy stacked up in this middle hill as Immortals try to find a good position, a good entry point, and a killing spree for Chasen gonna come through. The double team onto that player leads to Immortals being 3 down, and yours truly having at least somewhat of control of the map for the time being.
Hill lost.
Heisman. A sneak insertion, trying to at least get a kill before he really leaps into this fight, and he'll be able to do more than that. He'll get 3 kills, in fact. Absolutely wiping the floor with the hold there from the Immortals. Beautifully done as his teammates take the brunt of the damage from that engagement, playing things on the front end of it. But either way, it leads to a transition hill. Usually don't see teams fight too heavily for this hill. It's more of kind of a passive poke battle to set up for the next transition, but because of how close the game is, these teams don't really end up with much of a choice. Yours truly banks in about 20 or so seconds on it, but Immortals now stealing that right back and away. New hill is up, but neither team currently having control over it is going to make for a tense scenario, as once again, these teams are within 5 seconds of each other.
Yeah, and you saw Blitz tried to make a play onto that shotgun there, at least denied it, but that jetpack ran out of juice, so wasn't able to secure it for himself. It does look like Blockers managed to secure that shotgun, but for the time being, yours truly has a decent little setup on this hill, but not for long, as Vinopius manages to come through, get that killing spree, the double kill for him, and he's reset up on top of this hill, picks up the melee as well. So a really nice play from Vinopius here.
He's going to continue to harass. Definitely been the player to watch for me. Not really topping out the stats. That's been Reticle with 33 and 13 on the scoreboard for him, but still really impressive saves coming in from Vinapis and a few of the other players here on Immortals throughout the course of this series. Immortals just about to take the lead away again as well, but they may have been flushed off the point before they get it. No, I am wrong. They'll instead take it away for themselves, but now where does that leave them on our next hill? We've got 3 to go, including this one that just spawned in. It's incredibly important for yours truly to be able to pick up some time on it, but that's not the way it's going to fly. It's going to be, once again, Immortals right on top of this hill, stacking up the time, at least for the start of it.
Yeah, nice couple of shots from Blockers there. Gets the early secure of that hill, but yours truly able to bounce back. Try to at least, but Reticle now stepping it up in that kill department with that triple kill is going to allow his team to set up for this hill time. But a nice little portal shot from Bizarre, going to take down Reticle. For the time being, Immortals doing a good job of just holding on to this lead and denying yours truly from racking up any more points on this hill. The Blitz battle is going to have Blitz come out on top. 2 down for Immortals as yours truly tries to make the push in. Swisher's going to get caught off the spawn, is going to allow yours truly to get this one within reach to retake that lead.
Yours truly looking to try and make up the difference here, but some nice kills rolling out at the same time for the Immortals. Good defense being put up here by Chasen as he gets 3 of the 4 members from a red squad at Immortals, but it's not enough to fully wipe them, and he's out of teammates to come in and bail him out there as well. So that's going to be full control on the hill again, going to the players on Immortals here off of the respawn. A few more, of course, coming in from yours truly going to try and contest against that, but they have a limited result here. It's now Immortals ahead by about 10 seconds as we're just about up to the final minute of play on this hill. Reticle as well, a little bit of desperation move, rolls in there, tries to steal the hill control away. You can tell how desperate both these teams are for the points at this point, as they're going to see these bodies just being thrown onto the hill like crazy to try and keep it either in contention or in the control of their team.
Yeah, Chasen being last up there, really doing a good job trying to stay alive for the final moments here, but for the time being, Immortals has a nice little setup. Swishers with that sniper is able to connect, but Heisman on that push manages to take down Swishers and regain control of that snipe. So as we have the final minute of play, it's Immortals with a 10-second lead, but yours truly with control of that hill.
Heisman looking for some angles here. Players on Immortals, though, a little bit elusive. Hard to spot them out, and more importantly, harder to lock in the headshots, but Heisman's going to be gifted with one anyway. He'll think that that's going to be his siren call to jump onto the hill, but they failed to realize, they didn't care to realize that Bloxer was ready to go with a shotgun on that hill already. Outright denies the play. That's going to be a massive lead suddenly surging here for the Immortals because of that misplay, and potentially very well the lead being locked in for this map. 3 kills and no responses. Finally, Bloxer sneaks one off with the shotty, but is that going to be enough of a difference here now for yours truly? They are just under the amount of time they would need to be able to make this comeback happen inside of regulation. They're going to need overtime to do it. This hill has constantly been shuffled back and forth, so overtime win is going to be a very tough task for yours truly to achieve, especially because they just got knocked off the hill again.
Yeah, and Bloxer does still have that shotgun, is managing to stay alive. You see the shields regenning for him, so with these final seconds, overtime is going to be triggered, but with all 4 down for yours truly, it is going to be an Immortals Map 1 victory.
It's not enough initiation capability coming in from yours truly there in the final seconds of it. Threw all 4 players on the hill, even had it for a second or two, but the problem is you could just see it on the left side of the UI there, just 1, 2, 3, all 4 are dead, and that'll be the end of it.
Yeah, I think it really hinged on those final kind of 2 cycles of power weapons, and I think Immortals just outplayed them in that regard and really utilized those power weapons better to hold that hill and just have that additional firepower, because we saw how neck and neck it was, you know, just matched up against carbine to carbine, but once Immortals kind of employed that strategy a little bit better than yours truly, they started to extend that lead and managed to close out map number 1. So we will be going to TDM on Olympus next, and this is going to be another kind of hectic style map that, you know, we'll have to see what these teams start to rely on, kind of going back and forth there. You know, in map number 1, I think it will just come down to that power weapon control yet again.
The shotgun play specifically really allowed for the players on Immortals to lock things in, especially towards that tail end when they were able to finally secure a good 30-40 point advantage for themselves that eventually led to victories. We'll see if Immortals can go for that a second time now. Vinopius is already getting himself off to a great start with the rockets, chaining them together quite well, as he also has the rails too, so there's the power weapon combo here, try and harass out the members of yours truly, and so far that's working, up by 2, as the score reads 6-4 after the first minute or so has been played out. Yeah,
Vinopius really doing a solid job across the board. The rail and rocket combo, not afraid of dying with those at all, going to lead to the double kill, and narrowly escapes with his shields for the time being. Looks like he might even try to line up another one onto Chasen here. Can he find the shot? He does. Great start from Vinopius. Going to give Immortals the 5-kill lead off the start with a little bit of flare across the map. Is this a highlight? Is this Modern Warfare 2 montages? Are people no-scoping across the map? He is feeling it right now after that map number 1.
No reason not to as well. Definitely gave one of the best performances we saw in that map. Nicely done here as he is able to lock in the Colat with the rail too. We saw it just bleed off the kill feed for a second. Didn't even get confirmation, but he locks it in. 8-0 right now for Vinopius as he is dominating the YT roster as they continue to surge ahead. Now doubling the scoreline of yours truly at 16-8.
Yeah, and it really is off the back of this power weapon control. He's managed to utilize them perfectly despite his team being 3 down. He's managing to get a collection agency with the melee kills. The perfect 10-0 start for Vinopius. The back-to-back beatdown's going to make it 11-1 before he finally falls.
Only lasts so long, but immediately going to see Heisman jump back into the play now. Unfortunately, immediately denied out as well. There's a heck of a lot of trades going on up in the tower. Neither team really winning out that battle at the end of the day, but it's still obviously Immortals in charge, up by about 8 over the yours truly scoreline at this point. It's going to go a little chaotic here as both teams try to fight for control on multiple points of the map. Obviously, you can see yours truly has a little bit of a hard point to fight for here inside of the tower, but it is pretty much constantly being contested at the moment by Vinopius. And I think with some help from Reticle, they're going to clear it out entirely. So yours truly needed to look for a new home once again as they're going to be bled out of the one that they tried to choose there over those last few moments.
Yeah, this might, though, you know, there's plenty of room for yours truly just to come back into this one. Obviously, a great start for Vinopius with that 13-2 stat line, but if he starts to cool down, yours truly can obviously work their way back into this one. In about 20 seconds, we should see the next round of power weapons spawning in, and with the Heisman double kill, that gives them a little bit of priority around the map for the time being, too, though chasing down, walking by, Bloxers is going to be taken down with the remaining 15 points of damage needed, and the melee is going to whiff for Chasen there. So 2 members on respawn for yours truly right as these power weapons come up is not really optimal, but with Vinopius down for Immortals, it might give yours truly a chance to contest these.
Rail's been picked up once again here. This time it's going to be claimed, however, by the Yours Truly roster, so let's see what they can potentially utilize it for. And immediately Heisman's going to be able to track one of his opponents through a portal here. Problem is, he's also been tracked, brought down quite low, tried to be able to get the pickup onto the Rockets as well, so both power weapons now down at the same spot on that side catwalk. A dangerous combination to be sure, but the problem is, Yours Truly really the only one that has full confirmation of it being there. Bloxer that was able to detect it. He's now scavenged both of those weapons for himself instead, which more than likely, with plays like that, will be able to lock in the lead here for the Immortals for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, and that's huge for Immortals. What was just a 2-kill lead has instantly been extended to about 4, was 5 for the time being. Yours Truly doing a great job of battling back in the face of adversity of these power weapons, but Bloxer with the great read going to be able to take down Heisman, and oh my god, this man is on fire. The double kill comes through. He is absolutely whipping shots. Chasen narrowly escapes, and the teamwork from Yours Truly manages to come through to take him down, but I mean, the damage has been done. Immortals now has that 7-kill lead here in the team deathmatch map number 2.
Immortals looking to try and lock things in. A little under 20 kills needed to get the job done. But the problem is we are seeing the YT roster, Yours Truly, slowly climb back into it here. They're going to be able to bring things back within about 5 kills reach. Now a little less than that, too, by picking up another one. But it'll be traded out by Bloxer, of course. Bloxer also running himself into the open, or rather Swishers does. Heisman will be able to take him out. Things remaining close here. But Yours Truly definitely going to want to try and get a power weapon for themselves, if at all possible, to be able to try and push the difference further into their favor, as they've been restricted quite heavily on that for the past 2 spawns.
Yep, and Venopius, you know, some of that momentum being shut down a little bit allows Yours Truly to bring this one within 4, and with the next round of power weapons spawning in about a minute, if Yours Truly can kind of hang on here and not let this lead get extended, the nice little outplay from Chasen going to allow Swishers to be defeated. 3 down now for Immortals. Might just be what Yours Truly needs to claw their way back into this one. We'll have to see, but Venopius back in the game, back on the map, hunting down these players of Yours Truly, trying to find something through the portals here, but that wall is being contested. Will manage to find 1, can he find 2? But no, Chasen is going to be able to fire back. Immortals hitting that 50-point marker, though, means they just need 10 to close out map number 2 and go up 2-0 in the series.
Czar and some of the other members on Yours Truly trying to find an insertion point here, looking for a way to get themselves back into it. Probably being a little cautious here too, because the last power up and respawn, or realistically the last one we'll see, it's going to be coming up at some point in the next 30 seconds, I believe. So both teams are hyper aware of that, and they know how important it is to their overall victory on this map. So pretty heavy emphasis probably going to be played into that, and that explains why the kill feed's suddenly gone completely quiet, where it had been completely chaotic for the rest of this map so far. Bizarre sneaks a nice one off onto Bloxer as he tries to retreat over towards the tower, but indeed all focus is on those weapons. The railgun, in fact, is already up. He's going to be able to pick that one up. Bizarre, that is. He rotates into it, and Rocket should be a realistic option too if he wanted to drop down the hole just to his left there. Problem is he's going to be careful here. You can get pinched real easily if you jump into this kind of haphazardly, but he'll be able to get it. The pressure now working its way in, but the portal's also there to get these players out of the hot zone and into a position where they can finally frag with these weapons. Oh no, the denial though, and that's going to send probably both of them off the map. Moist is Chasen, rather, is just going to be able to pick up the rockets at least. Miss that as he's able to get it, but it does look like Venopius was able to scavenge the rail as well, so 1 power weapon for each squad rolling right now.
Yeah, and it is down to the wire. Yours Truly just really needs to play their lives here, play super safe, and try to use these rockets to work their way back into this one. The one from Chasen is going to connect to bring this one within 3, but Immortals just need to find 2 stray kills to close this one out.
Truly, of course, not going to hand those over easily, but Switcher is able to sneak at least 1 in. A second one also found just a moment later. So Immortals locking in the 2-0. Their very aggressive playstyle working out well in the early game, and that on top of the constant power weapon control, even though it got contested a little bit towards the end, outside of that, the constant power weapon control just allowing them to dictate the state of play over the course of that map.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing for Yours Truly is that's a, you know, surface level fix is really trying to just play better around those power weapon spawns, and they could be, you know, either one of those maps could have gone in their favor. We saw Club Silo. They did force the overtime, however, briefly, but it was Immortals with kind of that shotgun control that allowed them to hold those setups around the map, and then similarly with the rockets and rails. Immortals just controlling those just to give them the edge in that gunfight allows them to come out victorious in those first 2 maps. So going over to Abyss, I'm expecting kind of a similar importance to be placed on those power weapons, and if yours truly can just kind of clean it up and really hold on to those, make better use of them, they might be able to start to mount the comeback here in this lower bracket series.
This was, of course, the matchup, or rather the game mode, I should say, where we saw kind of the best performance come out from yours truly in the previous sets. Time to see if they can show us that once again and maybe put at least 1 win on the board for themselves here in an attempt to pull off the reverse sweep. It's going to be absolute chaos at the start of the game, though. 1 cap for each team, obviously, but the B point going to remain in contestation. Yours truly does have more players up, but are they going to be able to transition it properly? Well, that's yet to be seen here, as we did have the 1 straggler from Immortals sitting on top of that. Obviously, though, yours truly has now stolen that away as they put the whole team on the B point to be able to prioritize the capture there. Do have to go back to quickly resume the capture on their home point, as that was an attempt to be stolen away by the members of Immortals. That'll be unsuccessful, though, and it's a consistent 2 cap to start the game here for yours truly. Going to try to make it a 3 cap, too, but B is going to get snuck out from under them.
I like this. The kind of refocus. They lost E for a bit, managed to bounce back, re-secure it, but Immortals, that B point and C point being in constant state of flux here for either one of these squads, and you see just the constant slaying come through. The double kill going to come through. Chasen now, the only one up briefly for yours truly, is going to be battled back. So Immortals just managing to stay alive a little bit better here, but it hasn't translated into control of the hills just yet. That BFB going to be picked up by Bloxers here near that 9-minute mark, but instantly gunned down by all members of yours truly is going to throw that bat into the hands of Chasen.
Yours truly, once again, off onto a good footing, but much like the previous 2 maps, it's not going to give them a huge lead here. That's been really a huge thing to be able to get for either squad. If they can even get to that point, is get anything more than a 30, 40-point lead, as these teams have truly been neck and neck the entire time throughout the course of this series. It does seem, though, that yours truly may finally be able to surge ahead a little bit at the beginning of this map, as they're able to lock in that consistent 2 cap, while we had a bit of a moment of glory from the Immortals. They might be having another one in a second here. Things were looking consistent for yours truly, and now they've got to try and defend that position here against a big push coming in from the Immortals. And so far, though, doesn't look like they might be able to fend it off, as there's at least an attempt to steal away B. That'll be held at the moment by Immortals, but that second cap is eluding them.
Yeah, yours truly just doing a much better job of locking down Immortals' routing and not letting them have so much control over these flank angles throughout the map, and that in turn with kind of at least maybe not the best utilization of the power weapons, but they've had them in their hands longer than the Immortals, so they've kind of had that threat at their side as well, which has allowed them to at least have this lead so far. But now we see, despite Immortals being all 4 down, they had control of 2 of those hills, but this should flip back into yours truly's favor.
Yours truly going to try and surge ahead once again, up already 2 caps for themselves and almost 50 points, really about a minute of a single cap going into their favor here. They have over the Immortals roster, so Immortals really looking to try and fight that back a bit, but they have been really, again, to emphasize this, struggling to get that second cap on the board, because yours truly has just been so quick on the rotations, not to mention a lot better with keeping that consistent power up control under their belt as well. Specifically the bat, you're going to see Chasen able to roll around with most of this map with. That's been a huge proponent in allowing for yours truly to continue to harass out any pressure, especially on these fairly claustrophobic points that have been coming out from the Immortals.
Yeah, it almost feels like Immortals are placing too much emphasis on stacking these hills and kind of forgetting that there's 4 other players on the map shooting at them, and that's really just opened things up for yours truly to have this early lead. But now we see Immortals managing to cap 2 of these hills. We have Venopius with that bat, so he is looking to break some of these setups, stop some of this yours truly pressure, and for the time being it's working out as a flurry of kills come through from either side. Reticle does have that bat, did manage to pick up the kill on Bizarre, but was taken down almost immediately, and after all the dust settles, it is yours truly with a brief double cap, and that B hill in a constant state of flux between these 2 teams.
Either team able to lock in consistency, so as a result of that, now C is going to be finally thrown into the Immortals' favor. Becomes a pivotal battleground, though, where you can see the members of yours truly looking to quickly surround that. They'll indeed do so, steal that B point away, and resume their lead, which Immortals just can't seem to get in the way of. We've seen some late-game comebacks from them already, but going to need to be an absolutely huge one with the way that this game is playing out. Yours truly continues to showcase their own control. We've got a momentary 2 cap finally on the board here for the Immortals, but again, they're starting to lose out players, and already that C point has once again been stolen back by the players in yours truly.
Yeah, 4 down for Immortals, and you saw it right there. Blitz picking up a nice triple kill, but every single one of those engagements, the members of Immortals' back was turned to him. So they're just really not kind of, I don't know, the map awareness doesn't seem to be there here in map number 3. They're just getting outflanked on a lot of these angles and a lot of these pushes from Yours Truly, and that's just really allowed Yours Truly to play this map super well.
Yours Truly continues to dominate here, a little under 200, or just about 250 points away from being able to lock in victory on their first map. This is certainly going to be a much better showing from them, but we'll start asking the question a little bit later on in this matchup about what exactly Yours Truly is going to be trying to bring out on the other game modes to try and make up the difference, as that will be the biggest issue for them moving beyond this map, as they have been shut down quite heavily, although still with close score lines on the other 2 game modes. However, quick fixes could potentially be seen, especially if they're able to learn a good amount from this matchup. As I say that, however, the Immortals suddenly with a triple cap for themselves. A already attempting to be retaken by Yours Truly, but even that being contested here for the Immortals. They went back into this game, and they went back in quickly with the way they're going about it.
Yeah, and really, like, looking at some of these stats, Immortals has the better kills. Like, they're applying more kill pressure on the map. They just haven't been able to successfully convert that into the hill time, into the sites, and into that map control. But briefly there, they showed that they were able to do so, and now they just have to string a couple more of those runs together to be right back into this one. But I think Yours Truly just having that nice little cushion, they're able to sit back, play this one a little bit more patient, but that patience is starting to wear thin as Immortals has control of A and C, and they are trying to take down all of Yours Truly. 3 down now for them is going to give Immortals a brief triple cap. At least they're starting to shore up this Yours Truly lead and might look to overtake it here soon.
A little less than 100 points to make up the difference, and they've once again resumed a triple cap for themselves here. Things are looking bleak, and that's saying it lightly for Yours Truly right now, as they're almost certainly going to lose the lead just when it seemed like they'd finally gotten some consistency. They've now been locked out entirely. Rocket control back in Bloxer's hands as well. He's already used half of it. Just was able to chase off someone trying to follow him through there to be able to steal those away, and now going to be looking to lock out someone else, as we are going to see A get stolen away, and even better yet, they're able to fend it off, but those rockets are still causing problems here, as one more remains. Oh, so unfortunate here for Bloxer, though. Still thought he had his second portal opened up, ends up running himself into a wall, and that's finally going to be Yours Truly getting some control over this situation, quite literally, just as they were about to lose the lead.
Yeah, Immortals, though, doing a great job of giving themselves a fighting chance here in map number 3 to close it out in that 3-0 sweep. They've kind of shown Yours Truly that they're primed and ready to do so. So now it's on Yours Truly to elevate their game yet again and try to shut Immortals out of this map and hold on to this lead until the very end.
Obvious moving himself forward here to try and continue to assert that control for the Immortals. Problem is, these members of Yours Truly constantly sneaking in, getting bits of chip damage, not to mention the flank work that's been getting in the way of the players from Immortals. The good news is they're able to get past it this time, work their way through it, and once again have that triple cap. So this will be the lead finally coming under their control. Now they just need to keep it that way for the remaining 130 points they need to close out on the matchup, or of course until it goes to the timer. Pressure still working out well. Bloxer as well as Vidapia survive that fight as they get a full team wipe going against Yours Truly in the meanwhile here. 2 cap will be kept alive because of that, and they're going to work on harassing out that C point so they can keep the triple cap alive and reduce the chances of a Yours Truly comeback. Things continuing to look good for the Immortals because of that. A triple kill specifically locked in for Bloxer, and again, the triple cap going alive for them too.
Bloxer is on one of the most nasty runs I've seen in Splitgate. The absolute perfect routing allows his team to hold on to that triple cap for just a little bit longer, and now they just need 40 points to close this one out. The Immortals have really dialed it in. Just having control of B is the possibility that Yours Truly could work their way back into this one, but as A and B now go into Immortals' favor, it is starting to look grim despite Yours Truly's best efforts.
Reticle working his way onto one of the hills here, trying to just lock in more than anything, just that 2 cap at this point. That's all they really need, and indeed, that's all they're going to need as the Immortals get the comeback going inside of this matchup and take the 3-0 victory against Yours Truly to knock them from the upper bracket into the lower bracket in their last match, and then, unfortunately for them, right out of the tournament in the very next one.
Yeah, just a tough break for Yours Truly. I mean, definitely a long day of matches for them and tough opponents. To me, that last map really comes down to that final run by Bloxer. He made all the difference. difference. I think it was just back-to-back kills happening, allowed his team to just control the entire map with him just being a menace out there. So a really nice comeback in map number 3 from Immortals is going to, of course, set the stage for the grand finals here. It's going to be Immortals going up against Welsh Mania, but the 3-0, I mean, some of these replays, I mean, it was back and forth. That 3-0 didn't really feel like a 3-0 in terms of dominance. I think yours truly was right there in a lot of those matchups, but I think Immortals, like that power weapon control and just being able to utilize those to their fullest extent, really made all the difference there in that series.
Push things that little bit further over the line that they needed to get the outright victory, while in the meantime, yours truly for a lot of the series, unfortunately, were kind of chasing their own tail and trying to get this lead back under their control, and while they were so close, this is truly like a really unfortunate event for yours truly, as they absolutely could have closed out on this series with just how close the matchups were. What was it, like a 5-kill difference or something like that on the TDM mode as well. Just couldn't really make it happen in the power weapon department, and then as well, positionally, things just really fell apart towards the midpoint of this third map here.
Yeah, and on that Abyss map 3, I mean, yours truly was like, I think if they win that one, it at least goes to a game 5. They had a lot of momentum on their side, but Immortal really just clutched up. They kind of showed that they have that X factor. They can make those adjustments mid-map that they need to, and that's really kind of one of the defining points of some of the better teams is, can they make an adjustment in the heat of battle? And with Immortals able to do that, it's going to be an interesting grand final as they are going to be going up against Welsh Mania. So the stage for that grand final is set, so we're going to throw it to a brief commercial break, and then we'll be right back with that matchup. Stay tuned. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with the Splitgate Challengers Grand Final. The stage is set between these two teams. Now, do keep in mind that both of these teams have qualified for relegation this Sunday, but we're going to take a look at the bracket just to show how these two teams got here. Again, a lot of 3-0s across the board here. Welsh Mania making their way in 3-0 fashion, and Immortal maybe struggling a little bit against Shoulda Retired, but of course I use struggle super lightly because it is 2 3-0s and 1 3-1. So both of these teams looking very strong coming into the grand finals. Then of course we'll freshen your memory on that relegation format and kind of what that means. So these two teams here, Immortal and Welsh Mania, are going to be going up against the Pioneers and Elevate. Again, those bottom two pro teams to duke it out, essentially, in the relegation bracket. The top two Challenger Series teams that you're witnessing right here are going to enter that double elimination bracket with no grand finals. Again, we're just trying to see who the next two squads of the Splitgate Pro Series are going to be. And then it'll be similar, across the board, best of 5 matches with the map bans. And then, like we said, the top two teams at the end of that relegation bracket are going to qualify for the SPS fall season. And then, like we mentioned, there's that prize money on the line here, at least for this matchup that's upcoming. So pretty exciting stuff for both of these squads. They can at least breathe a slight sigh of relief, but I'm sure if you've been checking Twitter at all, it's not going to end there with just being happy about kind of making it into relegation. I think they're still going to be fighting for that first place title. And of course, not only are these teams going to be winning here today, you guys tuned in right now have a chance to win as well. And all you need to do is type !Astro in chat to enter, and you will have a chance to win the Astro gaming headset with the custom Splitgate Pro Series speaker tag. So go ahead and spam chat with that !Astro, and you might be a lucky winner today as well. But that kind of sets the stage again for this grand final. I believe the map bans and things have come through, so let's take a look at those. A nice little mix and variation here between some of these squads. So it is going to be King of the Hill on Pantheon for our map number 1, a TDM on Lava Well for map number 2. Domination, our map number 3, is going to take place on Helix, and then if we need map 4 and map 5, it's going to be King of the Hill on Olympus and a team deathmatch on Carmen Station. But if history is going to repeat itself, maybe another 3-0 for one of these teams. It seems like that is kind of the flavor of the day with the way that these two have kind of shaken out through the bracket.
Really varied amount of maps coming in here too, just between kind of the open and more closed setting of maps here. Lava Well and Helix fall more to that kind of closed, more like shoot hall type of maps, whereas we have the more open field type of maps between Olympus, Carbon, and Pantheon, where players have a lot more freedom to kind of surprise from a distance, insert themselves in a way that might not necessarily be expected via their portals. So you have a bit more predictability coming in from the other two. But we're getting started now. It's time to see if Welsh Mania can continue to showcase their dominance after obviously we saw the Immortals strike down the very same team that Welsh Mania also just knocked out a few moments prior as well. Let's find out who will top this out, as only one team can take the top seed. Obviously, the big prize has already been claimed that both these teams are moving through into relegations itself, but they still have to fight for the prizing inside of Challengers as well as their seeding in terms of who they're going to play against.
Man, Welsh Mania just off to the races yet again. We just saw 3 down, followed by another 2 down, but really the hill time doesn't reflect the way the slaying power has been for Welsh Mania. So this is giving Immortals a little bit of time to kind of collect some points in that hill, but those outer hills being so tough to defend, looks like teams are kind of waiting for that rotation to get their setups going. But definitely in the slaying department, it is Welsh Mania off to the races indeed.
It's been part of the strategy, if we remember back to the initial game for Welsh Mania, in that they didn't necessarily want to outright go for max objective points here. Wanted to try more so to mitigate their opponent's potential play, and that seemed to work quite well for them in the play versus yours truly. Going to more than likely attempt to execute the same way here, and so far it's been working out well. A little bit of an attempt at a pre-fire here from Momo, but he's a little bit premature on that. Ends up still forcing his opponent away into a new engagement where Reticle will actually be able to win it out versus Momo, but obviously still at low HP. That's an easy trade. We'll also see as well their Agony, I believe, and yes, indeed, locking in the collection agency just before he takes his first death, but still, Swishers has been able to clear out this hill, so it's going to be him and Reticle able to control this. For how long will be the important question here, is obviously everybody coming in quickly off the respawns for Welshmania will try to get their revenge and quickly try to reclaim this, but that's going to fail for the most part. Mo, the only one to get a kill, and he's gone down too.
Yeah, really a nice defend there from Immortal on that hill on those final seconds, and now we see Swishers rotating out, able to hunt down Sif in the time being. Agony as well going to fall, so that's going to be a killing spree here for Swishers as Immortals has control of the fresh hill and are doing a nice job of battling back against that early Welshmania lead.
It's going to be consistent hold here for Immortals, much like the last map here. Suddenly seeing them come back into it, and pretty much immediately when they do, they take the lead away from Welshmania here. At least a sneak kill being stuck in by Solar, though. Couldn't really lock in where he was coming from, so couldn't do much about that, as it leaves only really Reticle on this hill defending it. He too is going to get knocked out. You still have the two players inside of the tower next to the hill, and they're going to now suddenly try to reinforce this. But the problem is the two players here from Welshmania did not take a whole lot of damage. They're still at full HP, able to easily fight this off. They'll lose one of their players in the process, but now they've stolen this away, and they're going to start crawling for a comeback themselves. Big problem though, only 10 seconds left on this hill, and they've got to go all the way across the map for the next one.
Yeah, thankfully those portals gonna shore up some of that travel time just a bit, as we're on board with Momo. Has a few shots left in this sniper and is just looking to use this to take out some of those players of Immortal, but his teammates do it in the meantime. 3 down, 4 Immortal are going to give Welshmania control of this hill and allow them to take the lead back here in map number 1, but that hill still being wrestled for. Momo, though, on that outside angle, does manage to find one of those Immortal players and take them down. The last alive is Venopius, and he's going to be taken down as well with those final shots in that sniper rifle.
Almost getting a nice chain together here for himself. Get some assistance from Sif to make sure that Swishers gets knocked out. Solar with power weapon control, and now able to negotiate a lot more power from that center hill, but Momo and Sif both end up going down. That's going to leave Solar on a little bit of an island. Thankfully, still, now doesn't have any teammate support anymore, so he's going to go down as well eventually to Swishers here. That's the hill being stolen away, just like what we saw on the last hill, though. Only going to see, this time, Immortals, of course, get about 10 seconds out of it before they're forced into a transition, which is coming up in a few seconds here. And already it looks like Welshmania is on top of it, but Reticle and Swishers able to fight out against the push from Welshmania regardless. Now it's going to be Immortals taking the initial control on this hill, as everyone else from Welsh has been battled out.
Yeah, what's really interesting is how these two squads seem to have hills that they want to hold and hills that they're willing to give. So that's kind of led to this exchange of lead back and forth, as Immortal really seems more comfortable holding some of these outside hills, and then Welshmania really favoring the indoor hills to try to hold. But it is Solar with that sniper rifle picking up a few kills for himself. Make that another one. Can he make it the full squad wipe? No, is going to miss that one and is going to be taken down by Swishers, but a nice little chunk of time built up for Welshmania there.
Agony knows he's got Venopius locked into a corner somewhere. Can't lock him down so easily, though, especially with his teammate now being lost. That'll be the control of the hill getting transitioned over. Again, though, only 5 seconds left, so it's a fairly minimal gain for the Immortals, and they're not realistically even going to take it. Already working on transitioning themselves into the new hills territory. Momo hot on the tails of at least one of the players here for Immortals, but there's also someone looking to take him out, and he'll drop the sniper in the process here. Really only one player in the area now for as they try to get themselves back onto this hill, and he'll be surprised as well. Swishers jumps through a portal up on top against him and is able to lock him out of the sight, leaving it still under the control of the Immortals, only 10 seconds behind. Eventually, though, through multiple players having to rotate their way in, Welshmania does look like they might have fought for contention of it, but no, again, those respawns coming out from Immortals instead do it better, and they'll be able to continue to lock in control, and in 2 seconds here, take away the lead.
I really like how Solar is kind of just holding on to those hills, tooth and nail, being a nuisance there for Immortals, and that's opening up plays like this for Agony to come through, secure that double kill. Looks like he's trying to hunt down Reticle, loses track of him, so he'll reposition for the time being, and with only 8 seconds remaining on that hill, it looks like Welshmania will try to just pick up a few extra points and look to rotate out, but on that rotation, Solar is going to be caught out by blockers. Here we'll see if Sif can get the revenge, but no, it's blockers with the headshot to take him out. So Immortals does a nice job fighting back, and that's going to allow them to potentially tie up this map number 1 here.
Gain the lead.
Welshmania still fighting from behind at this point as the Immortals have that control and more than likely going to be able to keep it now. Venopius scavenging the rockets for himself, just waiting for an opportunity to put himself into a position where he can use those, and he'll find it pretty quickly. Solar not going to be able to run away from that position quickly enough due to a lack of portal walls here, and the second one quickly following up to take down Sif. At that moment, you can really just see Welshmania just kind of on the hill, more so to try and stay in the game at that point. Ultimately, though, our rocket flare does have to go a little bit further out, so they end up losing themselves too, with still, I believe, at least 2 rockets in the chamber ready to be utilized. We just saw one of them go down there for now Agony, who's been able to steal that away. He's got one more to use, but only going to get half the damage off onto his target here. Thought for sure he would have gotten Venopius outright, but now can't find him, as Swishers instead will take down Agony.
Really nice job from Venopius to kind of path towards his teammate, knowing that he was being hunted by that player with the rocket. So a really nice heads-up play there, but unfortunately, Welshmania still holds on to this lead as kills are just being exchanged back and forth. The Reticle, though, is going to find himself in this hill with a couple buddies, a couple squad mates, so looks like Welshmania is going to take this approach pretty patiently. We see Agony trying to find an angle here, but Reticle is going to try to outmaneuver them, but unfortunately 3 players from Welshmania were in that hill, and the full squad wipe with a killing spree from Momo, and the double kill is going to allow Welshmania to rack up a decent chunk of hill time.
Welshmania finally able to get that decent team shot going for themselves, working themselves together into this hill to be able to fully wipe out the team, not just have a constant back and forth going, as really has been the case throughout this matchup so far here. But just as quickly as they were pushed onto that hill, they're going to be pushed off of it as well. Immortals constantly continue to impress it with their capability to swing onto a hill and pretty much immediately force their opponents off of it here. Excellently done, and they're dragged back into this game as a result of that. We do have the new hill coming in. There is a player from Welshmania sitting on top of it here, but unfortunately not going to be able to really exercise much control in that area due to the entirety of Immortals still surrounding it and waiting for the Welshmania players to group up to take this fight.
Yeah, and Immortals just doing a really good job of playing this one patient. Again, clock kind of at the backs of both of these teams, so this one undoubtedly going to come down to the wire, and who can just kind of string together these little spurts of hill time as, you know, Welshmania looks to try to approach this hill, but don't want to do it solo. Momo kind of holding that angle, just trying to get some reconnaissance information on how many players are in the hill, when and where, and here comes the push from Welshmania. It's going to be 2 down for Immortals. Swisher's taken out, but Reticle from that slight high ground trying to battle back. The portal play flank going to come through, and 3 down, now 4 down for Welshmania is going to allow the Immortals to get the final seconds of this hill.
Boxer looking to try and lock in this lead for Immortals in the final minute of play. He's going to be portaling around. Had an opportunity to knock out Solo there, but Venopius is going to steal it from him. All good, as the team is still in control, and that's what matters at this point. Oh, unfortunate for Agony. He gets locked into the hill, trying to move back in. Has his portal closed on him just as he makes it through the threshold before we see that close out, and now he'll be taken down too. No real threat showing up onto this here. Missed sniper shot, though, 2 in a row. That's actually going to be big. Allows a lot more pressure to suddenly come in here for the Welshmania players, and it might translate into a hill change as a result of the missed shots coming in for that sniper.
Really nice read on Agony from the Reticle flank there. He fires off a rocket, trying to catch players portaling in from the high ground. Going to fire off 2. Neither one of those connecting, but at least that pressure is allowing Welshmania to kind of sit up this hill, rack up the time, and now Immortals know that they kind of have one final push, and they know they have to push through 2 rockets. Agony going to find 2 and the double kill. It's a great hold for Welshmania in the final seconds of this King of the Hill, and now Immortals really have one final push.
Not even gonna
even make it to the hill in time. Welshmania battles back in map number 1.
Had to fight for it, to be sure, as Immortals were certainly looking to try and pick things up for themselves over the course of that matchup and came very close to doing so. Even had, I believe, about a 20-second lead at one point in that game, but just not enough at the end of the day, as you see once again, just like the last series here, Immortal keeping things neck and neck, as it's only about a 10-second difference that locks in the win here.
Yeah, and really it's just like, even though Welshmania had kind of that slaying power, we see Agony dropping the 40 bomb, Solar 1 short of it himself. The Immortals managed to kind of outmaneuver and outplan Welshmania on that one. I think it really came down to them being willing to hold some of the hills that Welshmania didn't want to defend. It seemed like kind of those outskirts type hills. Welshmania was like, oh, you guys can have those ones, but Immortals kind of took advantage of that and really kept it close with that strategy.
Which, this is where Welshmania's over overall strategy that I talked about at the beginning of this game and towards the end of the last series as well, it kind of comes back to bite them a little bit. Them trying to be more passive on the objective is not really going to work so well if they're up against a hyper-aggressive team like we kind of see in Immortal here. So we're going to have to wait and see if they can potentially change up their own game plan to try and get in the way of that a little bit more if they want to. Obviously shut these maps down. If they want to keep it close, continue playing as the way they are.
Yeah, and then that TDM on Lava Well, the one that is coming up, might be kind of that opportunity for Welsh Mania to switch gears into that kind of more Slayer-focused and then translate that into the domination. We will have to see, but I got to give it up to Immortal. They're doing a great job of just really utilizing those power weapons and really contesting them, because that was a big recipe for Welsh Mania's success earlier on in the day, but Immortals proving that they can battle back against that strategy. A nice double kill early on for Agony here is going to give Welsh Mania a little bit of a lead and give them control of some of these power weapons.
Nice outplay with the portal there coming in from Agony. Lines up a quick flank against his opponent, trying to fight for rocket control, and so Agony will be able to take it as a result of that. Not really getting a chance to use these rockets just yet. In the meanwhile, he's been stuck on this carbine ever since he's found it. Gonna wait to see for this next weapon to come back up here, but I think he's missed the opportunity. I'm not gonna be some time before it swings around again. Things looking still very dominant for Welsh Mania as they've been able to push ahead at 9-2 here. Looking to push that advantage even further as Solar also has himself the plasma to utilize. Reticle, yeah, he's got the bat, but he needs to get himself in position to properly find that, and that's usually going to be boosted by a secondary power weapon, which I don't believe the players on Immortal have at this point. So they're going to sit in the corner, hoping for the wrong person to walk around the corner, and that just hasn't been happening as much as they would like.
Yeah, I like the way Agony's playing this, really. We kind of mentioned some of that more passive play style, but in TDM with the rockets, it starts to make a lot more sense. Just giving those to your enemies as free kills, and rather playing it patient leads to 3 down for Immortal. So well played out of Agony on that 7-0 start, really giving his team an edge here. Sif also going off with that bat combo within the hands of Welsh Mania is just really kind of letting them rack up this lead right now.
Great play from Sif right there, specifically be able to lock in the lead. Agony as well, of course, using these rockets has allowed for a much greater element of control to be thrown across the entire map here, and you can see it's translated in the scoreboard. A safe +10 advantage right around, a little more than that now, in fact, for Welsh Mania to be able to continue to exercise this lead and really keep it going. I mean, Agony's just chilling right now. He's had time to throw down the spray. He's not worried about anything at the moment.
Yeah, just marking up the map, marking his territory right now with this 12-kill lead that Welsh Mania has, and yeah, for the time being, they are controlling the map, so feel free to throw some graffiti down there as Reticle and Venopius going down for Immortals. Agony tries to look for a little bit of a flank, a little bit of an insertion, but kind of spots some bad juju there, so kind of back out, not feeling it, says I'll hold on to this bat for a little bit longer. And so far, this really kind of like passive turtle style for Welsh Mania seems to be frustrating Immortals because they just haven't been able to get into their groove, into that aggressive play style that they showed us in map number 1.
Well, trying to lock in those sniper shots there. Unfortunately, can't get both that are needed to get the full kill. Tries to go for a closer engagement, but loses his opponent through a portal. Oh, had an opportunity there, but now I think his opponent's finally got the better of him here, lining up an opportunity behind him instead. Momo has to run for the hills for a second to try and get some of that health back. He'll get it, tries to work his way in once more with the sniper. Momo just not having the best of runs there, unfortunately, so he's going to be taken out by Ploxer, but Solar and now Agony have already made up for that difference, pushing WM into a +1 yet again.
What I really like here is Welsh Mania's utilization of those power weapons and stretching them out into the next power weapon spawn. So we're kind of hitting that 7-minute mark now where they could have potentially strung together those power weapons, using the power weapons to secure the next round. But a nice little play from Immortals is going to allow Venopius to at least secure that bat, and Momo will fall at the hands of that power weapon. And here we see some more nice plays coming through. Another one secured, but Immortals still trailing by a decent chunk of kills is going to make this one tough, as kind of Welsh Mania is just chilling. They're playing this one patient and allowing Immortals to come to them and their setup, and so far it's working out nicely for them.
Well, just wondering the answer to that question there as you saw the rockets go off in the distance. They've been sitting on the pedestal for a good 10-20 seconds there, and I don't believe anyone had picked it up until just that moment there. So looks like a member of Immortal was able to get it for a second, but pretty sure it fell off the map, so I don't think we'll have those rockets show up again for another 3 minutes. I'll have to wait and see if I was wrong about that, but pretty sure the player on Immortal got dropped in the middle of the air, so that would have sent it down into the pit.
Nice killing spree going to come through from Sif. And really, if I'm Welsh Mania, I'm not sad about those rockets going off the map.
Yeah, they don't even need them right now.
Yeah, you have the 16-kill lead. You're big chillin'. Sif's picking up the melee kills, and that's another 2 down for Immortals. This is kind of more like the slowed down version, the halftime of what we saw in their first series against yours truly. A similar playstyle, similar fashion, but just kind of slowed down, playing it more patient and just biding their time until they really know and they have that successful push, and then they're pushing for it, and so far that's working out for him. Of course, Blockers does have that bat, so if he can find a little spot to break this Welsh Mania setup, he's going to do so, but for the time being, it is Welsh Mania making it really difficult for them. Swishers tries to get a couple of headshots lined up with that sniper, doesn't do so, so Agony going to have 2 sniper rounds to work with. We'll see if he can line something up here.
There we go. Nicely done from Agony. Momo's been struggling a little bit, but he's been able to find the sniper for himself. But Agony locking in a very smooth one there. And now the quick switch to the bat baits him in, knocks him out. Beautifully played by Agony there. Shuts him down. That's 2 more kills up on the board for Welsh Mania. And now only about 14 to go. And this team will lock in victory for themselves. And a 2-0 lead on the series will be maintained. I will say, though, Immortal starting to make some small strides to get their way back into this. I don't know if it'll be enough for them to potentially contend against the lead that WM currently have, but certainly not them laying down and dying either. So we'll have to wait and see if they can potentially push this all the way to a close game, as WM has certainly slowed down to a considerable amount.
Yeah, Immortals is doing a good job of, I think, making better coordinated pushes rather than just kind of relying on their hectic, aggressive gameplay. Unfortunately, it was just an adjustment made a little bit too late in the map, and Welsh Mania has a nice little lead. But for the time being, I mean, Immortals now down 11. It's starting to get a little bit close, and with the next round of power weapons coming up, there's definitely an opportunity for the Immortals to make a run at it here.
Welsh Mania ultimately just needs to wake up and find those remaining 11 kills that are sitting in their way. Problem is the rotations have been smooth, and they have been really smooth. The fact that we've been seeing just huge sequences of kills up until this point, of course, come in for Immortal. 3-4 wipes in a row without any responses showing up for Welsh, but it looks like that's starting to change itself up as well. They're finally into the 50s here. Bloxer sneaking off another kill that Sif actually won't be able to exchange. He's currently locked in a corner as well. This is what I was talking about, where Immortal's ending up with kind of the better positioning for these fights. They're able to negotiate more kills, and that's slowly allowing them to come back into this game. Problem is, though, as you said, it's happening a little too late at the moment here, so even just 1 kill lost in the process of these trades is going to be a very bad thing for Immortal.
Yeah, even if they trade 2 for 1 throughout the rest of the series, WM still wins this one out. So they really need to play their lives really, really well, really not give anything up to Welsh Mania, and Welsh Mania just needs 5 Immortals. Trying to make a run at it here, but really, I mean, it's just that cushion at this point is seemingly insurmountable despite all of Immortal's best efforts.
We've seen Welsh Mania kind of slow things down a little bit as well, making it harder to find those opportunities to insert themselves, but Vinopius able to get himself the rockets. Might have some hope alive, but never mind. It's been dashed entirely. Rockets drop down onto the ground. We'll see if another player on WM is even going to try to scavenge it, as they just need that single kill to lock in the W, and Sif will be able to get it. It's a 2-0 lead as Welsh Mania are looking to barnstorm their way through this bracket here and earn the first place seed.
I think what's scary to me about Welsh Mania is we saw them in that first series of the day play super fast, super aggressive, and then they were able to adapt to their opponents. They kind of turtled up knowing that Immortal was going to run at them. So that's always a deadly squad when they can adapt to your playstyle that efficiently.
Certainly is, and now it's going to really put some effort onto the players from Immortal here, as they are up against the wall, facing potential, well, not elimination, obviously still making it through to relegation, but they are going to have to go up against, I believe, if they have second seed here, I mean they play the higher seeded team.
I believe so, yeah.
From the SPS, right? Yeah, so obviously wanting to make things a little bit easier on themselves by trying to line up the matchup versus Elevate, they'll have to try and do that now by pushing themselves back into a better position here.
Yeah, it's always interesting kind of with these challengers brackets then into relegation is like, you know, job's not finished, right?
Yep, pretty much.
They might, you know, Welsh Mania can win the series 3-0, and then it's like, oh, we got to play 2 SPS teams in a few days.
And the scary thing about that, too, is it's like, are we just doing, like, the single matchups for relegation, or are we doing, like, an outright bracket between all 4 teams?
It's straight up.
It's straight up? Yeah, just straight up, like, bracket? Okay, cool. So that'll give the teams a little bit more of a sigh of relief. I was worried it was just, like, one matchup for a second is how we would play into it. So, like, everything comes down to one final game, but I think our teams have a little bit more breathing.
I wouldn't sleep Saturday.
No. I'd be up grinding all night if that was the format we were using. But.
Yeah, absolutely. So they have a little bit of breathing room, but obviously there's bragging rights here on the line too, and of course that prize pool. So plenty of things to kind of battle this one out for, and I'm sure Immortals are going to give Welsh Mania, or at least attempt to, a run for their money here in map number 3. And this is where we did see Welsh Mania falter some, even against yours truly. It wasn't as much of a dominant performance here, but a nice little double kill with the rails from Agony is going to set the tone in Welsh Mania's favor, despite not translating that into a B hill just yet.
Agony already with 3, the 4th right in front of him, but oh, that player just barely escaping through a portal at the end. Nice dodge, but still is going to drain out the remaining ammo inside of the railgun there. Solar, though, did have himself the shotgun, and he's able to use it here. 2 kills being picked up. In fact, I think 3 kills over the past few seconds. 2 of them coming from his carbine. Of course, not able to see the most use out of the shotgun just yet, but certainly being able to exercise. Vanopius actually sneaks out of Agony's POV for just a second here. Nearly is able, I should correct myself, to fully decap B, but that's already been made up by WM, and they've got another home point back for themselves as well. So solid control setup for them, as they're leading by about 30 points here after the initial action has started to fade away.
Yeah, Welsh Mania kind of just really like setting the trap for these rotations on Immortals' side. Immortals does manage to resecure C Hill, but Welsh Mania is still a pretty solid hold on A and B for the time being. 2 down for each squad, with Immortals spawning in slightly sooner. Might give them a little bit of an advantage to try to take A, and yeah, they will manage to at least secure that one, but it is a great response from Welsh Mania to recap C in their favor to continue to try and extend this lead.
Losing C.
Sip just kind of sitting back, maybe consistently holding on to this A position here, waiting for an opportunity to frag out, as they have to kind of sit back and wait to see what Immortals' next move is going to be here. Much have control over the game, Welsh this is, so they want to wait for their opponents to try and play this out, but it seems the aggression is really going to get the better of Welsh here. They see an opportunity, especially with 2 players down for IMT, so they're going to make the direct play, try and take that 3rd point away, but they basically just end up trading the 2 side points.
Yep, nice little trade through there. Solar and blockers down. Swishers is going to fall as well. So Welsh Mania just doing a really good job of keeping Immortal on this respawn timer, not really letting them get out on the map and make a full-on push towards one of these sites. So it's going to be super frustrating for Immortal. A nice collection agency going to come through for Sif, and it looks like he spots Swishers as well, who will be taken down. So Welsh Mania just really playing this one patient, very methodical, almost surgical in a sense, with the way that they are just letting Immortals come to them while controlling a lot of these sites. A, though, and C will flip briefly into Immortals' hands, and now we'll see how Welsh Mania is kind of going to push now that they are forced to be pushed out onto the map.
So going to quickly try and get back control over C here, and they'll be able to do that at least. Seems like there's still an active fight for A, so going to be a moment until we see who ends up controlling that one. Most recent kills, though, do fade themselves over towards Immortal, so more than likely they're going to be the ones holding it at the end of the day, but no, just a lone straggler with no HP to play off of either, so it's very easy to bleed those guys off, prevent them from getting any cap. But at the same time, you could say the same thing for WM here. While that B cap has stayed consistent, things have not necessarily worked out too well. Only just now seeing Welsh Mania be able to get themselves their home point back under their control. But we have seen a 2 cap show up in the meanwhile for IMT, but they've also lost that now, and just like usual, Welsh Mania back in control of things as they take back that B point.
Yeah, they don't really seem to be panicked when Immortal kind of even gains some of this lead. They're not really trying to fly out off of spawn and get these hills. And now Sif, with that shotgun, is going to be able to open things up for his team as well as he pushes onto this hill site, tries to chase down a couple of their kills before returning to that power position and tries to find another flank.
Sif, once again, kind of the hot insertion player here, looking for the flank to line themselves up into to play things out onto that B hill, and it'll work. Maybe a little late to the party. Quite a few players have been lost in response, but thankfully at the same time, Momo has been duking it out via melee. They took out 2 players with his melee over the course of that defensive B, and as a result, we only see a decap for like 5-10 seconds max. WM go right back into controlling it. A King of Carnage showing up for Sif in the meanwhile. I didn't even realize how much of a run he had been on the meanwhile here, as he's up 21-1 over his opponents.
Yeah, so he must have just died very early on 1-1, and then has just been a terror ever since, and that's led to Welsh Mania having that brief little triple cap, as A, looks like it will fall back into the Immortals' favor, but Sif is just on an absolute hot streak, an absolute tear right now. Get shot in the back, play patient. I like the statting here a little bit. Play this one safe. Like let's run it up.
See how far we can push this spree, huh?
Yeah, let's run it up. Let's break some records here today. So I like what I'm seeing out of Sif. looks like a couple of guns there, though. Manages to find one, so is just shy of that 25 spree. Immortals does manage to cap A and C here, but Welsh Mania, with that little run from Sif, has managed to build up a nice little lead, so I'm sure they aren't sweating getting back into this one.
Yep, already has the 2 cap back under their control, so momentary lapse in the control there with players over on WM, but they've already been able to get it back for themselves and are right around 250 points away from locking in victory. A little more than 2/3 of the way there for this team now, as they try to look for that 3rd and final map that they need to lock in that 1st place seeding heading into relegation coming from this division, of course. Away from that, we're going to see once again Immortal able to change hands, specifically on the B hill here, and they've got Solar along with one other player out in the open, susceptible to Bloxer's damage. So Bloxer knocks them out, should be able to get B back under his control. No, Agony saves it at the last second, is going to keep it in neutrality. Problem being, though, that both of those side points were stolen away by Immortal, so they're going to at least have a momentary 3 cap for themselves until, of course, we now see the home point reclaimed by WM.
Yeah, Welsh Mania doing a great job of just, as soon as IMT kind of had that lead, they go 4 down. So Welsh Mania just playing this one super patient, feeling super comfortable out here. So a great job by the Immortals to kind of give themselves a run at tying this one up, or at least getting back into this game, was immediately shut down. So I love what I'm seeing out of Welsh Mania. Super, super good job of just responding to whatever Immortals is throwing at them.
It's been, unfortunately, the thing that has made it pretty impossible for Immortal to get back into this map. They've come close, they've been able to negotiate those caps, but it's oftentimes been at cost of pretty heavy HP or player count to their own team, meaning they just can't sustain it long term. In fact, we've now seen this triple cap that we saw from Immortal a few moments ago flip on its head, and it's instead going to be WM that has it for a few moments here. Locking in the 2 cap long term, of course, and now with power weapon control to play as well, as they should have easily been able to get that railgun after winning that fight we just saw.
Yep, looks like Sif does have control of that rail. Agony still has a few shots left in the shotgun, so he's going to use those to secure that double kill. And WM right now with A and B and capping C are looking to close out map number 3 and the 3-0 in the grand finals.
Just under 100 points to be able to do that, and quickly declining, of course. Things are certainly looking promising for Welsh Mania to be our Challengers champions for this season. Just a few more points away from being able to do that. Immortal is going to have a momentary sigh of relief for themselves as they are able to bring it down to only 1 cap. The important part, though, is that it was the B point, but they've now stolen that away, too. So stopped all momentum. It's going to be that last-second comeback attempt that we saw on the previous map as well, made once more here by Immortal. This time, though, things are looking a little bit more futile. They have to stay on top of these rotations that Sif is already working to correct here on the inside of the A hill. And, of course, Momo helping out with that as well. 2 cap once again restored for Welsh Mania, as it's just not looking like Immortal can maintain.
No, it's all Welsh Mania. Like, if you watch that right side of the screen, the Immortals players basically constantly 2 down, sometimes 3. It's just allowing Welsh Mania to navigate this map so freely and secure these final hills to kind of close out map number 3. So it's more impressive of what Welsh Mania has been able to do, more so than Immortals doing anything wrong. It's just kind of everything Immortals was throwing at them, Welsh Mania had the perfect response for.
And I think that's the hallmark to talk about here, with Welsh Mania now being our Challengers champions. They seem to be able to adapt almost on a whim to whatever their opponents throw at them, and that's going to make them very, very dangerous when we get into relegation on Sunday.
Yeah, because we kind of talked about that with some of those pro teams that did get relegated, that they kind of had a more defined play style. They kind of approached the maps or the games in a certain way, but Welsh Mania kind of has now shown us, hey, we can do a lot of different things. We can throw a lot of different looks out. We can play that hyper-aggressive style if we need to. We can also throw kind of the brakes on, slow things down, and have more of a setup-focused style play to our game. So really impressive showing, I want to say, out of Welsh Mania there.
And obviously a big congrats to them, as that makes them this season's Challengers champions. Big ups to them, as be a $2,000 prize I believe they'll be taking home. And of course, for their opponents, they're still going to get $1,200 for second place. Both of them will still be moving on to relegation on Sunday as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the next stage to talk about. Of course, there's a few things to talk about this weekend. This is day 1 of a 3-day sprint of Splitgate action. Of course, today was the Challengers. Tomorrow, we do have the Splitgate Pro Series Grand Finals, which is going to be super exciting, a big day of Splitgate. We're going to be bringing in Rome, who casted the G4 Invitational, to help us out here with the cast, so you guys can look forward to that and know he's going to kill it. And then, of course, Sunday is the relegation day, where one of these two teams, either Welsh Mania or Immortals, or both, might find their way into that Splitgate Pro Series fall season. So there's a lot of exciting things kind of coming up, a lot of exciting things on the line. And then Of course, with that grand finals, the prize pool here, great, $2,000 to a challengers team, but then first place tomorrow, going to be walking away with $30,000. That's a pretty nice car, really. It's kind of always how I always like frame it, is like, that's a car, man. Like that's just, there's a car on the line for first place. But yeah, just to kind of set the stage for tomorrow in that grand final, the disparity between 1 through 6 is so narrow. 1 and 2 are pretty secured, but then 3, 4, 5, 6 are all like in that striking distance of those top teams, and it's big names, big personalities. So I think that grand finals is going to be exciting to watch. But anything really final thoughts here on the challengers team, the challengers players, before we kind of go to bed and get excited for tomorrow?
No, just really excited to see what we have tomorrow. Big shout out to the challengers players as well. Gave us a good show today. We saw definitely some new highlightable players that hopefully we'll be seeing in the SPS in the near future as well. So best of luck to those guys.
Yeah, and I mean, we've already seen a couple of them in the SPS as subs for Maddie. So we know that these challengers teams have what it takes, and that's going to be an exciting relegation series on Sunday. But of course, to set the stage for tomorrow, be sure to tune in here on this channel. We are going to be going live at noon, but again, check Twitters for everything to see exactly when we go live. But that is going to do it for us here today on the desk, and we will see you guys tomorrow for the Splitgate Pro Series Grand Finals. Peace.